Steelers lost to Dorian Thompson-Robinson and the Browns on Sunday. Now, the most crazy statistic you might hear, the Steelers have not fired a coach in season since 1941. So this is unprecedented, what we're witnessing in the National Football League with the Steelers. It's the most breaking news of the day. Joy, you are the resident Steelers fan. So tell me this, is Kenny Pickett getting a pass given how bad he has been, both statistically and with our eyeballs?
No, he's not getting a pass. Kenny Pickett is in the middle of his second year in the league.
Games.
Yeah. So it's way too soon to say that he is fully responsible for anything that's going on with this offense. Y'all don't even want rookies to start year one. So he is nowhere near the level that he should be being held responsible solely for what's going on with the offense. As you mentioned, the Steelers are not a reactionary team. In fact, they're one of the least reactionary teams in the history of the NFL. They do not fire coaches. They do not panic. There was no way that they were going to look at the situation with Kenny Pickett and be like, yeah, let's bench him. We're going to move off of him. He doesn't have what it takes. He's been struggling. Yes, so has the offensive line. So has the offensive coordinator. We know that because Kenny Pickett hasn't looked great, and also we've heard from several players that they're unhappy with what's going on with the offense. There are a lot of statistics that we can get into to explain what's happened with the Steelers offense this year, but despite all of that, they are still 6-4, they are still the 7th seed, and they're 1.5 games back from the top of the division. So how would they be playing if their offense could get anything going? That's why this decision was made, because it was trending downwards. They have a young quarterback that they want to continue to develop, so they had to make this move. Will it end up being that Kenny Pickett is the issue? We will see. But one thing about the Steelers is they're going to see. They're not going to just panic and flip out and blame all of this on a young quarterback who is still developing.
Is it fair, though, to say that they've already seen enough? The reason I ask that is, let's just talk about some quarterbacks. I'll start elite. Joe Burrow in his second year was in a Super Bowl. Let's start elite. Patrick Mahomes, obviously, in his second year, da-da-da. Let's go next tier. Carson Wentz in his second year started off 11-1, if I'm not mistaken. Kyler Murray in his second year MVP conversation. Lamar Jackson in his second year MVP conversation. Maybe I think he was a unanimous MVP in his second year. If you keep going, you got guys like Deshaun Watson in his second year. In their second year, we have seen quarterbacks show us enough, Dak Prescott included. By their second year, we've seen either their first year was really good or Justin Herbert, second year is really good. So 23 games, Brock Purdy, we know whether or not a quarterback is capable. Kenny Pickett, we're more than halfway through his second year, and for my money, with my eyes, I haven't seen him show me that he's capable. He got 2 running backs that are good. Shay, you know better than me. He got 2 running backs that are good. You got 2 receivers that are good. You got 3 for him? All right, bet. 3. I'm gonna say 2, but if you're the receiver on the desk, if you want to call 3, call 3. You got 3 receivers that are good. So when I think about it, I'm like, 23 games, Joy, to me is just enough to say that Pickett is getting a pass, because this has been awful. Bad. Canada is not good either. Canada was not good either. But this has been bad.
But the offense has been bad.
Correct.
But they're still winning games. And last year, through week 8, they were averaging an NFL worst 15 points per game at a 2-6 record. Had the bye, and then from week 10 on, they went 7-2 and averaged 20.9 points per game. So it's like a complete turnaround. We cannot look at the entirety of what Kenny Pickett has done there and say that he has been absolutely terrible the entire time. He is struggling this year. We can see that with our eyeballs. We can see that statistically. But no one in the building feels it's solely his fault, or that's what we would be hearing. We're not hearing that from the locker room. We're not hearing that from Tomlin. We also know there are other issues. They're 31st in offensive line for pass blocking this year. That's like almost the worst in the NFL.
So Pickett, given what you know, and you know a lot about quarterbacks and what they do in their first or second year, given what you know and what you've seen from Hurts in his second year, Allen, Herbert, Deshaun, Baker, Kyler, Lamar, Burrow, Mahomes, Wentz, you have promise in Pickett. Like
I think he's still developing. I don't know what he's going to become. But I know that the Steelers are not going to freak out and bail on their first-round pick that they are developing halfway through his second year in the league. They're just not going to do that.
Yeah, and I wouldn't put all the blame on Kenny Pickett, but I'm putting most of it on him. And the reason why is because there ain't nobody up here at this table can say, ooh, I remember that game. That was a dime by Kenny Pickett. Nobody up here really can say that. So for me, I don't care about the wins. I don't care about the losses. I care about you looking the right way. Kenny Pickett is not seeing the football field the right way. He throwing back shoulders and his receiver is on top of the defender. There ain't nowhere to throw back shoulders to that. I don't care what play is called. What are you looking at? He has guys wide open in the football field that he's missing these throws, right? The Tennessee Titans game, I got a play to show you. The Tennessee Titans game, they was on the offensive coordinator about the plays he was calling. And he dialed up a play. As you can see, my man George Pickens coming across the field. Come on. Like, this a rookie throw. George Pickens going to catch this football right here and run for 30 more yards. But this is the quarterback throwing this thing 5 yards over his head. And I'm not saying that that's all Kenny Pickett. But at the same time, you can't blame this all on the offensive coordinator. You got 3 really good receivers, man. You got Deontay Johnson, you got George Pickens, you got Allen Robinson, and you got 2 really good running backs, right? We just talked about Patty Mahomes. This young kid got help. And he's not making these dudes around him better. He's making these dudes around him worse. You know, and you can say play calling all you want. He misses a lot of throws, and not a lot of tight window throws, a lot of wide open throws. And for me, yes, he possibly can get better, but he ain't seeing the field and the game the right way right now.
I'm going to say no. He's a young quarterback. He could be better. He's not playing well right now, but I think a lot of that has to do with just when your coordinator, and by the way, before I talk about the coordinator, even before this year, AB used to talk to me about this coordinator. He wasn't that good. Mm-hmm. I never heard anything positive about the coordinator that was there. So that's why they fired him. The Steelers don't do stuff like that. Oh, no. The head coaches, coordinators, they keep them for a long time because that's what they do. They're like one of them honest franchises. Yeah. So for him to get rid of him, that had to tell you something. That's one part. I never heard anything good about him as a coordinator. That's one. And then the other part is, you got to talk about confidence. You nitpicking about different plays, and you're right. That was a bad pass right there. But one thing about a young player, quarterback, or any position, when you don't feel confident, all the small things you used to do great seems hard now, because I've been there. True. Mm-hmm. Easy things, easy reads and holes, I might mess up because I'm not confident myself. And I think that if you look at young quarterbacks, what make them special when they are being successful is being put in a situation to win. A lot of these times when I'm watching these games, first of all, the offensive line is terrible. If you know anything about the Steelers, and I went to Pittsburgh University, so I know all about the Steelers. Their DNA for years and years and years, even when they had the AB and Le'Veon Bell era, we're going to play great defense, we're going to run the ball, and it's going to be a dogfight every game. When I watched them, that's not them. They can't run the ball, right? Najee Harris, what? You know what I'm saying?
Warren went crazy against the Browns.
Warren is a hell of a player.
He went crazy.
It's the reason why he started. But if you watch the last couple of games, they struggled to run the ball. They struggled to protect the quarterback.
But ain't none of that changing, though.
Hold on. We don't know that. So we get a play caller in there and different plays. So when you're struggling on different positions, a coach is supposed to make it easy for us. Okay, we can't block this. Let's do something different. That's how it works. So my thing is, before we judge Kenny Pickett like we do him, because he's not playing well, yeah, I can say that. But to give him all the blame for it, I can't do that. But I can't do that.
Let's be real. Let's have an honest conversation at this desk. Kenny Pickett probably shouldn't be a starter for the Steelers. Joy, you know better than most, Ben Roethlisberger holds that team hostage every year. He held them hostage. Am I retiring? Am I not retiring? Am I retiring? Am I not retiring? Shady, you know now better than most, Kenny Pickett went to Pitt. He using that Steelers locker room. He in the Steelers facility. And then remember that quarterback draft class. You got Sam Howell, Desmond Ridder, Malik Willis. Mm-hmm. Like, what you expect them to do? Yeah. So Ben Roethlisberger's holding them hostage, so they don't know what they're going to do with the quarterback. Are we going to get one in trade? You can't do that. Yeah. Now you're at the draft. The best prospect is a Kenny Pickett, who shouldn't really be a first-round pick. He goes at the latter half of the first round, because who else you going to draft? Yeah. Howell or Ridder or Malik Willis? So if we're also just being honest, yes, he was a first-round pick because he was drafted there, but I don't know that he's a first-round talent. I think he's getting some of that Zach Wilson benefit of the doubt. He's not as bad as Zach Wilson. Do not mishear me. But he's getting some of that first-round pick benefit of the doubt that I don't think he has earned based upon his play.
So let me ask you this, though. Okay, since we doing this thing, right, because Kenny Pickett, he deserves majority of the blame on offense. Mm-hmm. But when you look at them, so I talked about the offensive line. I can't remember the Steelers having a bad offensive line. That's their thing. It's their thing. Najee Harris is a first rounder, right?
Yeah, first rounder, number 22 overall.
Is he playing like a first round running back?
No,
he's not.
Warren went, what, 4th, 5th round?
Yeah, Warren's like maybe 4th.
And now he's starting, so like if we gonna do this, let's look at the whole picture. Our first round running back is not playing like a first round running back. Our offensive line is just looking like the 31st best offensive line in football, because that's what they are.
Yeah.
It's only 32 teams for America, just so you know that. So they're almost last. They're one spot from being last. Let's look at the wide receivers, right? So you talked about the wide receivers. So Deontay Johnson's really, really good. He just came back from injury, like 2 games or something like that. So he's getting
for a minute.
a little bit, right? 2-3 games. Okay, he's getting back. I think that the best wide receiver you say is George Pickens.
Yep. George is number 1.
So George's number 1. So then I'm looking at the wide receiver core, like you keep talking about. I was like, who they really got at wide receiver like that? That demands the ball, that should be getting the ball all the time.
Them boys is good.
I'm hearing what you're saying. When I watch him, I think that Deontay's a really good wide receiver. And I think George Pickens is the number 1. But I say, collectively, when I get the offense, I don't think it's a really good offense.
Allen Robinson
maybe
is an excellent third receiver. He has
They
weapons.
throwing him around everywhere in the league. He was just on this team last year. He was on this team. I've been there. When that happens, it's time to move on.
Right.
All I'm saying is this. Yes, Kenny Pickett needs to be better. But I think some of that, even with the wide receivers I'm naming and the running backs, maybe that it needs to be the offensive coordinator to put these boys in easier situations.
We're going to find out.
I watch how the good games that Justin Fields has, right? I think he's limited, but he's a super athlete. When you watch the way they throw the ball with him, right, they make it, they help him out so much. Even Trevor Lawrence, as great as they want to act like he is, and he's not, if you watch the way that Doug Pearson calls an offensive game plan for him, he simplifies it. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that Kenny Pickett's not playing bad, because he is. But when you got a young quarterback and you got some good weapons around him, we need everybody to play really well, and we need the coordinator to put him in situations to win.
Yeah, and he's just too young to lay it on him right now. Like, maybe he isn't a first-round talent. Maybe he did only end up there because Ben Roethlisberger wouldn't retire or whatever, put them in a situation to not have the incumbent ready to go. It doesn't matter. The biggest picture to me is they're still winning games. So however bad he isn't so bad that they're losing. Yep. Unlike some other teams that have way worse performances at quarterback, and it is costing them games, even though they do have great defenses and way better offensive pieces. The Jets, anyone?
Yeah.
Solid defense, top to bottom, top of the league. Would you say that the skill positions for the Jets are better
Than the Steelers?
than the Steelers?
No. The Steelers skill positions is way better than the Jets.
Than the Jets.
Top to bottom, 2 really good running backs, 3 really good wide receivers. From top to bottom,
Well, I would disagree. Let's say they're equal, but I would disagree. I think that the Jets are better. But they're losing games, right? So, like, what I'm trying to say is he's playing bad. He does deserve some blame for playing bad. Right. He needs to play better. He's way too young of a player. If we're up here having conversations about rookies should not even start year 1, then he is too young. It's midway through his 2nd year to be saying that this is all his responsibility.
But what about, remember what we did with Justin Fields? Remember, and you know really well what we did with Tua. Like, I don't know, I would say, Joy, I would agree with you 10 years ago. 10 years ago when quarterbacks didn't have to be thrust into the starting limelight their first year, I would agree with you. But now, by Justin Fields' 2nd year, we was on his head. 2nd year was just last year. Tua's 2nd year, you know better than anybody being tied in with the Miami media, on Tua's head. I don't know that 23 games in this NFL is still...
we can apply some nuance to the situation. Yeah. Like, we don't have to just say Tua is the same situation as Kenny Pickett's is the same situation as Zach Wilson's is the same situation. Like, there's nuance and things that are going on that we can say, okay, this is actually the quarterback's fault. They do have a great offensive line. They do have great running backs and great wide receivers and a great defense. So we can say this is specifically the coaching because they were great before this happened. Like, everything is not the exact same situation. I'm not saying Kenny Pickett doesn't deserve some blame. He does. What I am saying is we're asking, is he getting a pass? Probably, because he's a young quarterback. He's still developing. Everybody needs time. Tua needed time.
Yeah. But for me, though, I'm not saying give up on Kenny Pickett. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying bench Kenny Pickett and give up on Kenny Pickett. But Kenny Pickett deserves a lot of this. Kenny Pickett is not seeing the football field the right way with a lot of the weapons that Kenny Pickett has around him. You're talking about 23 games, 13 touchdowns, 13 picks. That's not seeing the game the right way. And, yes, a new offensive coordinator may come in there and make it real simple on him, but a lot of these throws is real simple that he's not making. I'm not saying give up on him because I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers were trying to protect him because you brought in Trubisky and you wanted Trubisky to be the starter.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Even though you drafted him as a first rounder, you wanted Trubisky to be a starter for the young fella to grow. They knew he needed some time to grow. Trubisky got hurt. He had to come up in there like he a first rounder. Let's let him go right now. So I think they need to give him more time.
At what cost?
That's what I'm saying.
At what cost?
At what cost? I mean,
because real quick, let me conclude my thought, then take us home to break. 2-5. The reason I say at what cost is AFC is wide open this year. It's wide open. Burrow's hurt. Aaron Rodgers hurt. Deshaun Watson hurt. The Steelers' last game was against Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Next game is against Jake Browning, Cincinnati Bengals. Then Kyler in his third game off an ACL. Then Mac Jones. Then Gardner Minshew. Then Jake Browning again. Then you see Seattle Seahawks and you see the Baltimore Ravens. Keep playing Kenny Pickett if you want to. Don't bench him. I agree. You can't bench him. But I'm just saying, like, if the Steelers mess around and miss the playoffs this year with no Deshaun and no Burrow.
But you're saying at what cost, but then you're saying don't bench him. So at what cost, what do you do?
That's the dilemma, I think.
But there is no answer. Like this is what you chose to do. You chose to make Kenny Pickett your starter. You have no choice. What do? You're going to go to the backup? No, you're not going to do that.
I'm done.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.